Hello YouTube, Yankee here with another tournament win. And this time I played Dragunity, which for people who know me might be an unexpected deck, but for people who know me even better, it's kind of expected. So, first of all, this tournament, it was a top 8 double elim bracket, but every player had already won a torrential time capsule tournament, so it was pretty competitive and there was a cash prize, so very exciting. And since there was such a small amount of players, I could make a pretty educated meta call, which was that I would expect to face a lot of agents, chaos, and then heroes and scraps. And I was right about the agents, chaos, and scraps at least. So when it came to my meta call, I also wanted to focus on the agent matchup, which you can see with the triple Drago. So that's one of the reasons why I picked Dragunity. I also think Dragunity is a very, very underrated deck. And before I go into the deck profile, I wanted to talk about future tournaments. So in a few days, we have the Tengu Mania tournament, the 20th of January, where there's going to be a cash prize of about $200, I think. And the top cut, or depending on how many players, I think every 8 players has a qualifier spot. And then you can qualify to the World Championship later this year, which is going to have an even larger cash prize. So very exciting. There's going to be a Toronto Winter Championship, and there's also going to be a cash prize, but nothing is announced quite yet. And then after that tournament, we're going to start playing Torrential Time Capsule again. So every Friday at 6:15 p.m. CET, so Central European Time, there's going to be a tournament where you can join freely in the Tournament Nexus server. So I'm going to link the Tengu Plant Town and the Tournament Nexus servers down below. And also, as you can see, this website is not a Dueling Book. It's called tengutools.com, and it's a recently created website which has all the replays and decks from the top cut and also all the replays from Torrential Time Capsule. So it's quite exciting, a very good tool to find the decks that have topped and performed and such. So let's get into the deck profile, I think. I don't play your mother's Dragunity deck, as you can see. I play Cycle's Dragunity deck. Basically, I made a few adjustments. Once I played 3 Quackimero Drago, and the reason why I play so many Quackimero Dragos is because it's a broken card against Agents and Chaos, basically, and also very good against other decks, but mainly Agents and Chaos. So it stops your opponent and yourself from special summoning Dark and Light monsters. So if you can make this stick, you basically win the game. And if you can't make it stick, you have Red Eyes, you have Ducks, you have a lot of options. So it's a very, very strong combination of cards. And also you can bring this back with the Red MD. You can also use Call of the Haunted. And you can use this in response to, for example, Tour Guide or Monster Reborn and such. And then you have the Vyvern and Red Eyes package. This is so strong. Anyone who plays Dragunity should play this. You could play 2 Wyverns, but I think 3 is just so good because if you have Ravine, you can pitch either Red MD or Wyvern and then make the Red MD stick the first turn. And most decks can't really handle such a strong card, so you just take control the first turn. It's so broken. And obviously you can play Future Fusion and then you just win because this card is broken. So I try to play a lot of broken cards, and you can get disrupted by MST on Ravine, obviously, but you have Drago, you have a lot of different game plans, so I think this deck is a lot more resilient than people give it credit to. And also, you have the Phalanx deck, so you can obviously make level 6 and then 8 synchro. So you make Variana and then you can make a Stardust Dragon if you don't know about the effect. So any duck summon when you have Phalanx in grave is a free level 8 synchro. Pretty broken. And then my trap lineup, I would like to play more traps, but I don't have space because I focus on the good cards. Then the last monster is Tour Guide. Obviously, Tour Guide is a good card in itself, but in this deck especially, you can make Levier to bring back the Wyverns, and then you can also make Leviathan to summon the Red Eyes if you need to. So it's versatile, and also you can out Ryo, which sometimes could be a problem, but it's not a big deal because you can always send Red MD to the grave and then summon it through Ryo. So it's not a huge issue, but obviously more options against cards is good. Then for the side deck, the reason why I play 1 Legionnaire is for agents, because you want to be able to out Christia, and I think Legionnaire is the most solid option to out Christia, because you can search it with Ravine, so it's a lot better than other options, I think. Then Maxi, I didn't expect to face any Tengu plant decks this tournament, but I wanted to have the options aside Maxi. And obviously, other decks it's good against too, like Karakuri and stuff. Electric Virus, I expected one Scrap Dragon at least, and this card you can steal their Scrap Dragon. I can banish it for Red MD if I want to, or just blow up the Scrap Dragon. So it's a very solid counter to Scraps, I think. And also Machine decks, because I didn't have space to play Cyber Dragon, especially with my tight extra deck. I would need to have 3 slots for the Cyber Dragon, so I chose Electric Virus instead. Veiler for Chaos and Agents, of course. It's a very standard card. MST, same with that. The reason why I didn't play free MST was I didn't expect any Gravekeepers, and I wanted to play lands against the TG matchup and the hero matchup instead if I could, so that's why. Debunk, mainly to counter agents if they have a lot of hand traps, but also against Tengu Plant, so another option if someone chose to play Tengu Plant. Curse of Royal, kind of weird card. The reason why I tried to side this was for the hero matchup, because I didn't really know what to expect from the hero matchup. But considering they have triple Spark, triple MST, and then they have the counter, the Solemns, I could use this card against all of those if they try to Solemn, for example, Call of the Haunted, Future Fusion, if they Spark Ravine. There's a lot of options where you can just counter them with Curse of Royal, so it's pretty good. Then the extra deck, this extra deck is so tight, so I didn't really have any flexibility. That's why I only play 2 Oriana, but also you don't really need 3. There's very rarely a spot where you really need a 3rd Oriana. Most of the time they're going to Veiler a Warning 1 Dux at least, and I don't have any spots for Pot of Avarice, so yeah, that's why I only play 2. Bryo, obviously. Orient, the reason why I play Orient is because it's a good option if they, for example, Maxi and you have to make a synchro so you don't die from damage, or you need to out the Stardust Dragon or Scrap Dragon. Orient Dragon makes it so you don't need to discard anything to out one of those cards. Is pretty good in that regard. And Black Rose, obviously, you need it, even though you probably never make it. You kind of need this Black Rose Dragon for those situations. Stardust Dragon, the reason why I play 2 is because I play Starlight Road, and also if I only play 1 Stardust Dragon and people know about that, they could play Solemn Warning on my Stardust Dragon, and then I can't make any this game, so that's why I play 2. Scrap Dragon, self-explanatory, broken card. Thought Ruler, you need at least 1 non-dragon level 8, because otherwise people can side Electric Virus against you, and then you get screwed. And also the life point effect is pretty good, and also this card can counter TGs, since they target with a lot of their back rows, so it's pretty good. Trishla, Soguro, yeah, I don't need to explain these. I would try to play another Leviathan if I had space, but rarely comes up. Utopia, you want the rank 4, and that's, you have a lot of level 4 that you sometimes need to make something with, especially since you have mind control. So, like, for example, playing Vyvern, mind controlling Arayo and making Utopia is pretty necessary. So yeah, that's the deck, and let's get into the replays. So the first match, I'm against Chaos, which is a very good matchup for me, especially this kind of Chaos build, which is more Edison-esque, I would say. It's not the Captive Chaos, which I think has a decent matchup against Dragunity. Instead, the Sam chose to play a lot of like Caius, Battle Fader, Dimensional Alchemist, cards like that, and they can't really keep up with Dragunity as a deck, and especially just can't make anything counter the Drago, basically. So Drago just wins the game, and then Dragunity just runs the deck over. So I won the Rock, Paper, Scissors, always good. Lag, the classic dueling book, and yeah. Terraforming, good start. If you have terraforming, especially in the start of the hand, you just add phalanx. This is a thing some players don't do, which is just so cringe. You always want to add the phalanx unless you can summon the ducks and make a synchro, because otherwise you just discard it for nothing, send it to grave. Even if you have ducks, there's sometimes arguments for just adding it instead, so yeah. Keep your phalanx in the hand so you can discard it next turn. So Torgate encountered, no big deal. I have Book for Ryo, so that's very good. But even if I didn't, I have mind control, so I would be able to deal with the Ryo. And yeah, I get hit by Torrential here. It's no big deal, considering I don't have to worry about that. So I draw into Trap Dustsh here, which is very good. So I just play it, return the Tour Guide, and now I win because what can they do? They have Dimensional Alchemist and 2 Ryos, and I will be able to drop a level 8 Synchro every turn. So I'm very confident here. I just make the Stardust. I set the Call of the Haunted. Yeah. And then now I see that I won't. He knew he had to pick Pot of Duality because those cards are just not good enough. There's an argument to pick Maxine instead, just to draw more cards potentially. But I can see the Pot of Duality as well. It searches for more cards, obviously. So yeah, just quick 1-0. Here I have 2 Dragos, which is broken. So the reason why I start with Tour Guide instead of Drago here is since he has a back row, and I didn't know at this point that he didn't play any Stolen Warnings and such. And since I have Future Fusion, I wanted to try to bait out a warning with Tour Guide and then play Future Fusion. And you can't do that if you summon Drago and then play Future Fusion because, yeah, it's a... You can play the 5-headed dragon then, so that's why I chose to play Tour Guide first, and I got hit by Maxi. And the reason why I didn't attack was because if you look at my hand, I win if I can just drop Drago next turn, basically. And if they have Gorge or Trag, I can't win anymore. At least I can't win with this hand as easily. So I chose to just summon Tangen in defense and not attack. I have Baylor for their own Tour Guide, but yeah, sadly they hit my Future Fusion with MST, but now I just beat them down. And I can reveal Phalanx, which is good because then I don't have to tell Sam I have another Drago, so that's even better. Here they have Darkhold, so that's unfortunate, but at the same time I have the Call of the Haunted. Obviously they have MST, but yeah, say summon Drago, attack into the honest, the Sangen, which is honest, and here I make a misplay the next turn because they set the honest, but I'm not sure why I didn't expect the honest set since this is 1900. I should have gone for synchro play and then went to the Call of the Haunted. Obviously that would get hit by the MST, but now I just summoned another monster for no reason, and I still can't make my ducks live since I don't have Phalanx. So the correct option here probably would have been to summon the Phalanx, make a Bryo, and then try to swing for game. Obviously they had MST, and I kind of expected that. That's why I played it a bit more carefully, because I didn't want to play call, just go into that. So yeah, as long as I have these on the field, I kind of win. So I wanted to play it safer. And yeah, the reason why I tried to summon Sangen here was to add another card so I could discard and still have a dragon, but I think it was a misplay, and now I just get hard punished because he has Monster Reborn, so he can out the Drago finally. And then he has the classic broken Chaos hands. He has Make Zork. I have Baylor, but then he has Tour Guide and then another Zork. So yeah, pretty hard to deal with this. So yeah, I draw Ravine, but it doesn't matter at this point. So I try to go into Synchro just to out his field, but I can't even out the whole field. But I have 8,000 hit points, so I figured it was a decent thing to do. And I don't need the ducks now since I have all the free. So yeah, Armor Army, we can't deal with that. I think in hindsight, I should have just tried to make the Drago stick, because getting rid of one opened up the ability for him to just do that. Should have probably set the Phalanx and played it slower. But here I have the Quagmire Drag again, so that's just real estate, and my trap lineup is so good here as well. So he has double MSTs to set the Torrential because he doesn't want to get MST in sand phase. And here I draw Dustsh I, so you can see his hand is pretty much over. Here, I waited for him to go into standby phase, and he did that. I think if I was him here, I would just prioritize the Maxi in the draw phase, because he has a Ryo that can attack the Drago and get rid of it. And obviously he still probably loses, but now he's just so screwed since I have Starlight Road. But I know. And then I Starlight Road, it's over. So pretty quick games. I kind of threw away the game too, but sometimes you just have to take a few risks. I think going into the Bryo was the wrong choice either way, because I should have expected a Veiler, which stalled it out. I should have played it slower, so yeah. kind of unfortunate, but luckily I won the game 2 and egged the game 3, so yeah. In the round 2, I'm against Tegalik playing TGs. I think my matchup is decent, not the best, not the worst, and especially he played skill drain in main deck, and my guys is stronger than his, so I think it's pretty decent. Also, I have Lance, which is very good against TGs, and also Quackimiri Drago at least stops his werewolf from being summoned, special summoned, so it's something. But yeah, he hoped I was playing Catsif. I hoped he played Catsif, but sadly, we played TG's versus Dragunity. I opened the most disgusting broken hand just because I have Dustsh, so kind of sad. And just make the red MD in the end phase. I see his hand. I can play around all of his cards. So I drop Phalanx, which is even better. Then I can add Ducks. And since I have no he has warning, I just want to bait it out. So I go into this. He warnings. And one thing that I could have done here, since I have Call of the Haunted, I could have gone into a Stardust Dragon, which probably could have been the correct place since I knew his cards. I knew he could only counter with the Mirror Force. But at the same time, if I make a Stardust Dragon and he draws a TG, he could just grab my Metal Dragon, run over Stardust Dragon, and I still have Ravine, but like it's not a good spot to be in. So I wanted to keep this just because if he Mirror Force here, I can just bring back the red MD with the Call of the Haunted. So this also picks a 2-turn clock against him, so pretty good. But he was thinking a while. I just got my attacks through. And then he drew Tengu, which was unfortunate because he has Horn, so I just took the attack. The problem of summoning a Phalanx, I guess. But I still have a Ravine, and he said 1 card, so obviously he just sat a bluff. But I just went for the damage, kill all the Tengus. Obviously I had Call of the Haunted, so what I could have done here, since he had the Mirror Force, in theory I could have attacked, killed, then negated with Stardust, played Call of the Haunted, and then killed him. But since I didn't know what this card was, I didn't want to take an unnecessary risk, so I just gave him another round. I think that was the better option, because I could have gotten really punished if he had the MST or something. So yeah, well, kind of not really, but oh well. I start off, draw Terraforming. He has MST obviously, so he's gonna punish me there, but it's not such a big deal. I just take the attack, and then I just set this. I could have summoned Ducks and attack, but I wanted to save it. So since I had Call of the Haunted, I could defend against that. He has Horn, I have Lance. Pretty good trade for me. He searches for Rhino in the end phase, but I still have Mirror Force, so I'm pretty confident. I didn't want to extend into Torrential, obviously. And here, I let him search, because I wasn't too worried about the level 6 Synchro. But I just took the attack since I have monsters. Drew the bunks, sadly, so I swing over the Rush Rhino with my 1700. One of the reasons why Dux is very good. It gets 1700 and then 1900 if you have a Phalanx. So yeah. Search another striker. He just has a lot of TGs. And then I bring out Sangan, which is very good now. I have access to the Phalanx, which makes the Red MD live if I need it. And I can also, yeah, get the second duck live. Sadly here, he MST'd my debunk. I was going to debunk the card so he couldn't search, but he still had another Rush Rhino, so it didn't matter. And yeah, he just gonna trish me. I'm not sure how I would counter it, but yeah. I shouldn't have let him do that, so now I'm just lost basically since he had MST. I go for the Desperation. Well, first I give him life, then I go for the Desperation Wyvern, but he has warnings, so can't even bring out my red MD. Good start, because you can bring out red MD, that's always good. The reason why I set my terraforming here instead of the Call of the Haunted was because if he has Heavy Storm, I wasn't sure about this list. I didn't want to get punished and not have any backup. Like if he has Heavy Storm and then he has Dust Shoot and the Dark Hole, like who knows. So I tried to bait out the Heavy Storm, and also since I have Terraforming, if I need another pitch for the Ravine, I can always just discard by searching out the Ravine and discarding it. You don't want to do that usually, but yeah. So that's why I said it. It's kind of bluff. And also, it could bait out an MST in the best scenario. Like, if he has to get a summon through, he could just MST my back row since I only have one. But that didn't happen, so he gets the torrential. Good information to have. He plays Darko. So obviously could have played Call of Daunted here if I said it, but I don't need it since I have Tour Guide. And I could freely discard the Ravine since I had the Terraforming. I wasn't too worried about the MST punish and not having access. So just search the Phalanx, go into Levier, but he has Warning. Now I set my back row. If he would have a Heavy Storm here, I would obviously have to Solemn, so it's forced out the Torrential since I didn't want to take too much damage. And now, since he doesn't have any back row, I can just summon this. He plays Maxi, it's fine. My guy has 1900, so that's one of the reasons why I don't think Maxi is very good against Dragunity, because even in this situation, like, okay, I have a 1900 guy and another monster, and he just went 1-for-1 with, like, adding a card. So I also have a very good back row there, so I felt confident. What he has to do is swing over the Phalanx just so he can crash the Tengu. That's not the best thing to do. And yeah, so I had Ravine since I drew the ducks. And then I tried to just see what he has. And also just trying to make it seem like I have a mystery card in my hand. I go into the Thought Ruler here, which is one of the reasons why Thought Ruler is really good. Because since I'm pretty low, he could have Electric Virus and just take over a Stardust or Scrap Dragon and win. And also, this card counters Dimensional Prison, it counters the EMI, so yeah, it's broken. And I read at least one of those. He had both, but yeah. So I make the Thought Ruler Archfiend, and he drew the Electric Virus, so it was like the perfect read, I guess. I counted 3 of his cards by making a Thought Ruler, and at this point I just win, because I have Judgment, and I know one of those cards is gonna be dead probably, so it's Judgment. I was thinking a bit before, because I could obviously just play Book of Moon on Scrap Dragon and protect against the Deep Prison, and then it will also protect me against the Electric Virus if he has it, but I just went for it because I was pretty sure this was a dead card. But yeah, I had Mirror Force and Book of Moon, so I didn't feel very threatened. And yeah, that was the game 3. I showed my back rows. Let's move on to the third match. So here I am in the winners final, I guess. Like, if you win this, you go into the winners final, and then there's a bracket reset if you lose. So it's a pretty high stake match. And I'm against Icon playing Agents, which was one of the matchups I really prepared against. So felt pretty confident. And sadly, I lost Rock, Paper, Scissors. If you can see my hand, if I actually I didn't have any dragons. So, but yeah, and also he didn't have MST, so it didn't matter. So I just make the broken start. He has to max C just to not get run over by 2 red MTs. So he tributes for Christia to run me over, but I have Dark Hole, so I'm not too worried. Let's play Upstart first to see what my options are. I have the Dark Hole. And here I go for the Levier play to bring back the Wyvern set. And that's the reason why I didn't let this Gachi die, because he would take a lot of damage. I think he read that. But at the same time, if I was him, I would probably let the Gachi die and then drop Trag. And then he can drop Christian. Now he had to go into the battle phase to do that, which is not as good. Especially considering he knows I have that and he like plays Trag to get rid of the Levier. And then I play Cult of Haunted on that. And I think this threw him off because he didn't summon the Christia, he went for the UB play instead. And at the same time, if he had Christia, he could only attack into the red MD and then he would top the card. And at the same time, I would be able to summon Drago or do other things. So I think he felt a bit threatened and had to summon the Envoy instead. Pretty sure, yeah, it was a tough spot for him considering he didn't have any live back rows. So yeah, kind of fortunate. Now I summoned the five-headed, which is one of the reasons why probably summoning Christian would have been a better option, because then I wouldn't get the five-headed at least. If he just left it on the field and I couldn't do anything. But yeah, quick game one. Future Fusion is too broken, I guess. So he just passes. I go for the red MD play. I could have gone for a Stardust, obviously, but the reason why was because I know he plays Crow and such, and I didn't want to be too behind if he would have anything against that. So I went for the red MD instead, because then I still have the backup of making a level 8 synchro. He doesn't play any warnings or such, so I'm not too worried about him summoning a monster or like taking tempo that way. And as long as I have red MD, I'm just such a warrior, I guess. Make the Levier, bring back the Wyvern. He has Trag, which is unfortunate. And I let him just summon monsters here because I don't want to waste a book since he has a lot of strong monsters, but now I had to use it. And he misplayed here. He talked to me about it later. He could have just went for the armor arm envoy play and just killed me there, so misplay. And I had to go for the Trish play, try to remove his agents, and I sadly didn't hit the envoy, so it's over. Well, it's not over, but you can see he has a lot of strong cards, and I'm just waiting for my doom. I draw Debunk, which is at least good, and then I draw Drago, so here, in theory, I could have, like, I obviously couldn't kill him, but that would have been good. And then he top takes, so he has mind control, he gets rid of that, and he wins. Otherwise, I would have won that considering, well, actually, no, he had electric wires too, so yeah, both mind control and electric wires, but now he could just game me, so it was hard to beat that. Here I draw Dustsh I, the classic. I got so lucky this tournament with Dustsh I, but at the same time, against Samo, Dustsh I didn't really matter. I drew it later in the game, but drawing it first turn is just too broken. So he plays Closed Forest. I know his cards, so I'm just going full damage. I know I just need to kill him as fast as possible. He doesn't have any threats against me. So I even used Mirror Force against the Orange Light. I think that's a rare scenario to happen. So he summons Tour Guide. And here I misplay, obviously, and it's so annoying because I didn't expect him to draw both EUB and Tour Guide, since I knew about the Hyperion and the Christia, but then he top deck EUB into Tour Guide, so the correct choice, obviously, would have been to just Book of Moon, the Tour Guide, and the card he summoned with Tour Guide, and then just swing into him for game next turn. So it was just a stupid mistake, but I got very, very hard punished, so I don't use the Book of Moon here since Leviathan is at 2000 since it was booked. So I can't run over his card if I have book. Obviously now in hindsight, since I drew the Ravine, I could have outed his card if I booked it, but I have to do this instead since I already went into that. And he has closed forest, so I can't really like use my Ravine. But luckily for me, he went for the line where he attacked with Envoy instead of banishing my Phalanx. So then I can book his Envoy and make the Variana play for game, since you double his attack and then you hit over Venus. So I misplayed. I think he made a bad choice of not banishing with Envoy, but I can understand him just going for game. He didn't expect me to have a book since I didn't play it, but there wasn't really an opportunity to play it when he dropped Envoy, so I think he assumed I would book the tour guide since that was the misplay. So I misplayed and then I could capitalize on the misplay, I guess. So it's all good. Yeah. Let's go into the next round. And it's a rematch against Psychon playing agents. Who could have guessed? So this is the first round, and if I lose, there's going to be a bracket reset. So that's why the earlier match was so important. And he won the rock paper scissors again. I need to practice that. He also has a pretty decent hand, but I also have a pretty decent hand, so Yeah. I chose to go for the Drago play since I just added Phalanx, summoned Drago, hit over Earth, and now I'm in control, obviously, because even though he has a lot of cards, they're dead, and he has to make the honest play, and yeah, well, the honest play. He has to play with honest, so one of the outs agent has, and I have to play on the backseat now. I just go for the Mirror Force here to not take too much damage. I kind of have to. And he gets a Sunken Search, and he searches for Earth, which I totally understand why he does that, because if I summon another Drago, if I get rid of the Gachi, he's screwed, basically. Like, especially since he knows I play Call of the Haunted, I play Monster Reborn, so if I summon my Drago from the grave, there's nothing to reborn, and his hand is just dead, so he has to search Earth so he can out my Drago with Jupiter. And this also made me assume he had an orange light or something, because otherwise I thought he would search that. But that's a very understandable line. I know why he did that. So I have the Ravine. I go for Synchro, and since I doesn't know anything, I just go for the safe option of making a Stardust Dragon. And he go for Tour Guide. I have to let him run over my Stardust because I assumed he had Hyperion or something, so I didn't want to waste the warning. And I drew the Call of the Haunted, so I just took the attacks instead of discarding it with the Ravine. Because if he has a hand trap and I play Ravine, I'm just so punished. But instead, I could counter Sang and Search with the Drago and then make a large Synchro. So I just turned that game around. And I know he has Jupiter, but doesn't really do anything since Drago dies anyways. I don't want him to run over my Stardust, so I warned it, but at the same time, maybe the correct choice would be to save the warning, so I could counter Hyperion. And yeah, I wasn't worried about Christia, but he could have Envoy too, so I wanted to save it, but yeah. And then I have to use that instead. So I wanted to break my Stardust, that's why I played Warning on Jupiter. And he plays Maxi. I kind of misplay here, I think. But yeah, he has scores, so I can't swing for game. And I'm extremely low, so I should have just gone for a synchro play here in main phase 2, because now he's died to Scrap Dragon. Should have made an Orient Dragon or Brionac. Probably Orient, so he can't. Well, he could just win with Mind Control anyway, so I draw Dustsh I too many times. And yeah, now I know everything he has, so I just go for the damage because I know I win if I can just push him down fast enough. He has Reborn and Earth, so it's kind of strong. And I also have to make Utopia because he has Electric Virus, so one of the reasons why I have to warning the Reborn, but it's fine. I draw into Ravine. And I just keep attacking. I don't want to make a Dragon play here, obviously, since he has Electric Virus. He has Honest, so I have to use the Utopia effect, but it's fine. And obviously I don't want to go for the Drago play since he could have Honest and then I can't do. I could just run over the book, but he still have Electrovirus, so he can out the Drago. And yeah. Here he blows out the Ravine and I have Mirror Force, so it was kind of scary. And for people who didn't realize he had low hit points and summoned Torguide in attack, so I spooked that other one and then I could kill him with Torguide, so that's what happened. So here he starts. I have the Veiler for the Venus, and I also have a monster that can run over the Venus, so that's good. Here I go for the Ducks play, and he has the Diddy Crow, but at least I can swing over Venus. If I was him, I would probably... I can understand why I did that, but since he has the Orange Light and the Shine Ball, if he just used the Orange Light instead, he could save his Venus, so I'm not too sure about that Crow. I can understand it, but at the same time, you could just save the Crow and then use it later. And yeah. I warning the tour guide. Luckily, it didn't have Envoy this time. And I go for the Red MD play. So he has Orange Light for that. I have Judgment, but I let the Earth go through, obviously. And he punished my card with MST. I just let it go through because I want to save the Judgment, but then he has Heavy Storm and he makes the Venus, so I think I misplayed that a bit. Maybe I should have just judgmented the Ravine, because now I'm just so behind. I have to attack over the Gachi and then let that die, so I could possibly win, but then he drew Hyperion, so couldn't do anything there. But luckily for me, there was a back bracket reset, so now it's time for finally the finals, whatever they call it, the winners final something. So this is what we've all been waiting for, the real finals, the battle of the battles, and it's against Icon again. And luckily for me, I win the rock paper scissors this time, so first time the charm, I guess. And my hand is broken, as you can see. Say summon, Drago, Dust Shoot, and I return. Well, yeah, he showed his whole hand. And I can see here, if I just return Earth, I win. Because he doesn't have another agent to make Hubert alive, and every other card is just dead. So, as before, I just go for full damage. Because I just want to win as fast as possible before he can draw any outs. These MSTs swings over the ducks. If I was him, I would probably just keep the MST. But I can see him being afraid of a warning and just getting a faster clock. So, it's kind of understandable. And then I do Drago, so it's just game because he can't drop anything. This card is too broken. So extremely quick and unfair game 1. And then for game 2, he starts with the tour guide. And here I have Ravine, but he has MST. And I go for the second Ravine. But like now, since I don't have Phalanx, I go for the Red MD play instead. And I need to play Dark Hole because he has a Leviathan, so you can make it a 3000 beater if I don't Dark Hole. So I'm already extremely low on resources and it's looking rough. But at the same time, he has 4 cards, I have 3 cards. Like, it looks really bad, but yeah. And I have a Red MD. But now he has 6 cards and I have 3 cards. So yeah, he has to kill that one to drop Hyperion and I have Warning. But then I have Envoy too, so yeah, what can you do about that? Luckily for me, I draw into Phalanx, so I can make a synchro here. And since I know he has Venus, I have to go for the Scrap Dragon. And, well, I don't have to go for the Scrap Dragon. So what I could have done here is make Variana double its attack over the Envoy. And then he has to summon the Venus, make a Gachi, run over the Variana, and then I still have Ravine. But since I know he has Venus and a mysterious card, I chose to go for the Scrap Dragon because both, if he has Honest, this is safer. And if he doesn't have Honest, maybe I win with the Scrap Dragon because he's so strong. Because he can only make a Gachi with Venus. But sadly for me, it doesn't work out because he draws Hyperion, so he just swings me for game. Added Shine Ball when we say, yeah. So he has dropped Hyperion and then run over. Well, he exploded my guy, so yeah. That wasn't game, but I draw Mind Control, and Mind Control can't handle Hyperion with 1100 health, so yeah. So Variana wouldn't protect me there either. Strong start, just making the Red Eyes play, setting these two. I could have obviously set Call of the Haunted and taken the heavy, but since I have Ravine and not that much of a backup, I chose to just set the Judgment, so depending on what he does, I could just have to Judgment something, so that's my thought process. I was kind of ready to Judgment the Heavy Storm if it happened, but he doesn't have that. He has a Book of Moon, so I go for the Tour Guide play here, since I added Phalanx and just grab the Wyvern. He books that because otherwise I could run over, well, the Venus, crash into the Wyvern. But I'm still in an extremely strong spot, so I go into the Thought Ruler here because I don't want to be too punished by him having the Electric Virus if I make a Scrap Dragon or Stardust Dragon. But at the same time, he could just take the Red MD. So another reason why I went to the Thought Ruler was because since I set free the first turn, I wanted to make him assume I had Starlight Road, so he wouldn't dare to play Dark Hole or Heavy Storm. So that's one of the reasons why I made the Thought Ruler. I wanted to mind game him into thinking I had that. And sadly had Honest, so I couldn't get any life. Instead I got punished by that. So I make the Call of the Haunted play here, and I think that's pretty decent. So he has to go into the classic tribute for Christia. I have warning, and here reborn. I have judgment, so it's just over for him. I draw the Quagmire Drago, but I would kill him still, so it doesn't matter. But very quick duels because me and Sycon we play fast, we go ham, very explosive decks here. So it was fun, and in hindsight, I think Dragunity was a pretty good option, especially since I played Sycon 3 times in a row. So I'm not sure I would have won with the Catsiv deck. So I think people should give this deck a shot. It's extremely strong, very explosive, very. It's similar to Tengu Plant in the regard that you have Drago, which can control the game, similar to Ryo, and then you also have the explosive lines where you make stuff with like Variana, the Red MD, and such. So people should definitely try this deck out. And also, like I said in the beginning, check out Tengu Tools. Go into the tournament Nexus, the Tengu Plant Town. Join every tournament. Let's grow this format. Thanks for watching.